my fiance real fast. And get this second game underway as Chicks Dig Elo versus Pond Mills is now taking place.
Oh, home gamer tag. I'm gonna go.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so now we are. All right, so now we are under game for game 2. Chicks Dig Elo did win the first game, so they are 1 game up. As we are now getting into the second game. If Pond Mills pulls this into a second game, we'll be going into the best of 3. However, if Chicks Dig Elo pulls it into a second win, that will be game, and Chicks Dig Elo will be the champions of this game of 3 match. So it looks like Twitch and Caitlyn have already been banned out, and Purple Team banned out Fizz against Best Void Fizz. They know he's really good with it. Also banning Ari against that champion. It looks like Blue Team has a couple of ADCs that they do not want My Name is Scott playing. However, on Purple Team, they have a couple of mid laners they do not want Best Void Fizz to be playing. So they're going to be banning against each other's champions. A number of ADCs coming out there from Blue Team. They did ban his Caitlyn, in which he had in the last game. Now Purple Team is banning LeBlanc against Blue Team. Once again, that mid laner as well. So I guess it would be My Name is Scott versus Best Void Fizz are the champions to watch in this second game of the match, as both of them seem to have a lot of their champions banned against each other. However, I'm sorry, Hamzy was the mid laner in the last game, and it looks like Hamzy will be possibly going into the mid lane this game. Once again, maybe picking up that Lissandra, very strong Lissandra in the last game, had a lot of opportunities for a lot of kills, or going to pick up Yasuo, who he was against. Yeah, he was against, because Escafe was the Yasuo in that last game. So, rolling over a number of different AP champions in that game. Got a little bit unhappy. Gata, what is your in-game name? Unhappy that that jungle Twitch did get banned out. He might actually even be on the same team as Blue Team, and they just said no banning for you, or no jungle Twitch for you. Hamzy actually picking up a Swain in the mid lane. I am so down to watch this. Swain is a very powerful champion, however, extremely hard to play. I mained him back in Season 2 and did pretty well with him, just normal and in jungle, or in ranked games, both going mid lane and top lane with him, so I cannot wait to see Hamzy play one of my favorite champions in the game. My Name is Scott, back onto the Ezreal. Very strong champion for him. We saw his power a couple games ago in that practice game initially, and so we should be able to see it. He did get his Caitlyn banned against him and is back onto the Ezreal, unless he switches it up, which he always could, and trolling me at the last second. Bulimic Whale has locked in that Vi jungle. Very strong champion, both with those dash Qs over walls as well as having that ultimate available. With that flash Q and alt combination, can cross extreme amounts of distance and jump onto the enemy ADC before the enemy ADC knows what's up. My Name is Scott has locked in that Sivir pick instead of the Ezreal, so it'll be interesting to see him play yet another ADC. This is a third ADC that he has played in a very different character and slightly different styles as well. A little bit of poke as well as some sustained damage. Best Void Fizz grabbing a jungle Rise. That would be very interesting to watch. Last game he played jungle Udyr, and so it'll be funny to see interesting to see how he goes this game. Gata on Purple Team with, I guess, Scott. What is your in-game name? Oh, I guess he is a Scafe is gotta go fast TM. I'm on Purple because of Scott being a jerk. Somebody jumped out, probably this guy who's raging because he was unhappy that he did not get to jungle Twitch. And so the stream will be reset after this due to the game being kind of turned over. Pushover being a new champion on Blue Team as the game is instantly started. I don't know if Pushover was a... yeah, he's not even connected, maybe. Makesaft as well, not really being connected. Oh, no, he's Makesaft. A lot of chat going back and forth here. However, needs to lay off the caps keys instead of being a caps killer in my chat, because that is very aggravating. Looks like Chicks Dig Elo. Oh, they have switched. And so now it is Pond Mills on blue team, Chicks Dig Elo on purple team. And so it does look like Pond Mills will be banning out once again those ADCs against purple team. My name is Scott, banning out that Thresh against blue team, not wanting to have to deal with those Thresh death sentence hooks. Ari also being banned out by a purple team, once again banning champions against Hamzy for his ability power strength. Twitch also being banned out by blue team, once again banning those ADCs against purple team. Will be interesting to see if My Name is Scott once again jumps back onto that Sivir or goes back to the Ezreal that he had a couple games ago. Does look like purple team gave Hamzy LeBlanc, which is an instant pick lock-in. Really wanting that LeBlanc champion, so it'll be fun, interesting to see what purple team decides they're going to be going as their mid lane. My Name is Scott, hovering over this Udyr pick. Maybe grabbing it for somebody else on the team for Mixaf for some other player, or maybe actually going a different lane this game. The Bulimic Whale is hovering over Vi once again in that jungle with that smite. Very strong champion, as said before, for leaping in and locking down the ADC for the enemy champions. My Name is Scott, hovering over that. Graves does lock in Graves. So once again, a new champion for My Name is Scott. Graves was played against him last game, maybe deciding that this game he's going to show how Graves is played and how you should do it when you're playing the League of Legends. Once again, ladies and gentlemen who are watching this, if you are still here stick around for after the game, because I will be doing that $10 Riot Point giveaway. If Chicks Dig Elo win this game, the championship between these two teams will be over, and we will have that $10 Riot Point giveaway, which winners or losers could win if they are watching. However, if the Pond Mills does win this game, then it will go into the third game, and the $10 Riot Point giveaway will be done afterwards, after that third game. So it is all up to these teams and who wins it all in the end. Best Voice Fizz going ahead and picking up ADC Jinx. Looking very strong, going to be doing a lot of damage. However, interesting choice against the Graves. Doesn't have quite as much burst damage. However, late game has a lot of sustained damage, and that ultimate would be able to help out in any kind of team fight across the entire map if you can time it right. I've seen a lot of Jinx ultimates as well be able to pick up Baron and Dragon kills as long as you know exactly when to fire it. Roasted also grabbing a top lane or possibly support Kayle. So it'll be interesting to see where that Kayle actually goes. Akradam back on his favorite support, that Sona. Doing an excellent job last game of timing those ultimates and being able to hit multiple of the enemy team members. Very comfortable, third time choosing that Sona. So it'll be interesting to see if if Pond Mills actually wins this game. Maybe they'll start banning Sona out against Akradam. Escape picking up that Scion pick. Very likely for that top lane. Very strong champion with that shield as well as late game power. Could be built AP, could be built AD, could be built hybrid. So it'll be interesting to see what those choices are. Blackbeard going into that jungle as Xin Zhao, who is an extremely strong champion. Hyper banned in the ranked system right now. Very strong with those dash and knock-up abilities, and having that smite as well is going to be able to make his jungle even faster. Pushover possibly hovering over that Leona support. Leona is one of my favorite champions in that support. The CC is just insane on a Leona, doing an excellent job of locking down enemy team members. So does look like that Leona is that final pick, as well as Mixaf jumping onto that Mordekaiser, likely in the mid lane. So now that we have everyone chosen, doesn't look like anybody is going to be switching. Let me run through everybody's names and champions really fast. That way it is official. Hamzy playing that mid lane LeBlanc, going to be doing a lot of burst damage. Best Void Fizz taking the ADC Jinx in the bottom lane. Roasted in the top lane Kayle. Will be very interesting to watch that happen since I haven't seen one in a while. Blackbeard in the jungle is Xin Zhao. Pushover in that bottom lane support Leona. On Chicks Dig Elo's side, my name is Scott, back on the ADC as Graves. The Bulimic Whale in the Jungle Vi, going to do an excellent job of locking down the ADC for the enemy team. Akradam on his favorite Sona in the support role. And a Scaife on that Scion in the top lane. And last but not least, Mixaft in the mid lane as Mordekaiser. So it'll be a lot of fun. Unless that Mordekaiser and Scion switch lanes, which they totally could do on me, I'm not positive. Sometimes people switch it up just to troll with me. Alright, so as I always do, I'm going to throw out some predictions here. Let me run through the teams real fast on just the overall power. Purple team has a good chunk of burst damage, that Scion stun, as well as Mordekaiser Q, and the Sona Q, and of course the Graves burst damage on his Q, gives Purple team a lot of short-ranged poke. They kind of have a bursty team, short-range bursty team, but it is ranged, and so they will be able to do a lot of damage unless that Scion runs AD, which instead he will become a very tanky front line. As soon as he throws down that ultimate, he will be auto-attacking and healing massive amounts. However, if he is knocked into the air by blue team's CC, he's not going to be able to do a whole lot. That Xin Zhao knockup as well as the Leona stuns going out will do an excellent job. Blue team having very strong CC lineup. Even the Jinx snares and LeBlanc snares will be doing a good job of keeping Purple team from being able to get into a lot of these team fights. If Scion and Vi are unable to actually even get into the fight due to that CC being auto attack melee champions, they're not going to be able to do a whole lot against a blue team. So I'm going to throw it out. I think I did. I called it right last game with that purple team grabbing that win. I'm going to call out the blue team winning this game. They have a lot of CC, and I think they have a lot of early winning power. If this LeBlanc can burst down this Mordekaiser, which will be a very interesting lineup to see. I haven't seen one happen in a while. The only way that I've beaten LeBlanc is by taking a hyper Teemo Hyper Teemo mid lane tank against the LeBlanc, and I just tanked the LeBlanc out completely. As of course, I'm going to throw that triple kill onto the Jinx to see if Jinx can make herself a triple kill as usual. 40 Kittens is the one who started that, and so we're going to see if Best Void Fizz can follow up on that happen. And then, of course, First Blood. Who gets the First Blood? There's nobody playing Lee Sin, so it is hard to tell who's actually going to grab that First Blood at this point in time. But I'm going to toss it out to... I think Mordekaiser's going to get First Blood. I don't know why. I swallowed the fly. I think she'll die. No, I have a feeling that... Oh, thanks, Cyril. Warning me about DCs. I think Mordekaiser's going to get First Blood. I don't know why. I just have that feeling. X-Mage T throwing me another message. Blue team pretty squishy. I do read the chat, so if you are going to be chatting, feel free to throw it into the chat. I have it right here on my computer screen because I have two monitors. They're gorgeous and beautiful and big. I don't always pay hyper attention to them, but I do pay attention to them and try to respond. Eventually, when I have a lot of people chatting, I will go ahead and just speak responses. But at the moment, a lot of people like to have very special typed responses. Rar to you two, legit. And legit, are you X-Go or are you X-Mage? You might be X-Mage. Be fun to when I have more viewers, I will speak responses, but at the moment I kind of type responses because it makes you feel a little more special. So, as we all know, once again, skins win the game, and it looks like we have a clear winner on blue team's side. With that Aether Wing Kale, Winged Hussier Xin Zhao, and of course Iron Solari Leona. If you have the skins, you have the wins, and it proved true last game in this series of 3 as Purple Team won the skin war and won the game. They only have one skin this game with that Mafia Grave, so it'll be interesting to see if Blue Team does pull into the win as they have more skins. And of course, when you buy a skin, you instantly get more skill with that champion. as everyone knows. And Legit Ghost is Patchinator. Huge toss out to Legit Ghost for keeping it real. Even if he's not in this game, he's going to be checking out this stream and be laughing at the terrible support job that I think Pushover replaced him. Leona does. No, I'm kidding. Totally messing with everybody. Pushover is going to be great because everyone's great. It's League of Legends. How can you not be great? We are currently in game. Welcome to the League of Legends. I'm going to go ahead and throw everybody into their current positions. We've, of course, got the supports in the bottom position here, and then the ADCs following, mid laners next, and then, of course, the jungles with the top laners at the top. Q numero uno Mordekaiser. That alone means that purple has possibly a chance to win. Of course, everything has a chance to win, so we'll see. Do I max R? Looks like a very classic start with a lot of champions, except this Mordekaiser started off with the Doran's shield. I have seen that happen before, especially if he takes a lot of health potions. One of my favorite builds on that Mordekaiser is to start off with 18 health pots, but I don't know if you can do that anymore in normal League of Legends. I know that you can't do it in certain other game modes because you only can get up to 5 mana potions. Ace Gave gonna give a free kill in the top lane maybe? Or just trolling. And he's going to go ahead and back from that top lane. Blue does look like they're going to be possibly trying to jump in here. Yeah, all 5 team members of Blue are down here in the jungle. They may be looking for first blood on Purple team. I don't know why I'm speaking quietly as Purple team can't even hear me. But here they come. Around Pushover in the lead. Might have his Q up. There's Aqua Jam going to be caught out in the situation. That is first blood going down onto Kale actually. Bulimic Whale does have the Ignite onto her. Pushover might not be able to catch up to that. Graves is actually going to have to back off from that fight as purple members do there. There goes the flash out as Hames and Pushover flash in. Pushover doing an excellent job of flash queuing in onto Vi, going to be able to grab that kill. However, Vi may be able to get back up and back to blue buff before it responds. Actually, it'll take her a little bit as the 5 seconds are there. There goes blue buff. So Vi will be starting a little bit late. However, Sona may be there to be able to start that. Hames taking a little bit of damage early, so going to go ahead and toss one of those health pots down to be able to keep against this. Actually, Scion mid. I apologize. Let me go ahead and switch them around. It's going to be Scion mid against the LeBlanc, and then Mordekaiser top against the Kale. We almost have like 2 different mid lanes between mid lane and top lane, so it'll be fun to see how these things go. Looks like Kale will be helping Xin Zhao start, so Kale will be getting a little bit late to that top lane. Mordekaiser grabbing himself 3 minions so far. However, that's not a whole lot for Kale to catch back up, especially getting that first blood and assist. And so we'll be doing fine, just fine against that. My name is Scott, taking a lot of damage in the bottom lane as Leona does grab the stun. He does use his heal to be able to try to heal himself up. Best Void Fizz taking a good bit of chunk of damage herself. Going to have to be able to watch yourself in that situation, but I cannot see because I'm in the top lane where Roasted is getting a little bit roasted himself with getting harassed by that Mordekaiser. Best Void Fizz throwing out that Q and actually going ahead and I think going ahead and using her heal to try to keep herself healthy. Does not have any health potions. Good. The rocket is down onto My Name is Scott. Throwing out the Q. Will that be damage there onto My Name is Scott? One more auto tech does finish it off. Best Void Fizz picking that kill up and getting behind the minion line to save herself. That is a huge deal when it comes to My Name is Scott normally dominating against the enemy team. And this Best Void Fizz doing an amazing job on the ADC, actually being able to match that and get the first kill onto My Name is Scott. Massive ordeal when it comes to that. Graves going ahead and picking up boots before coming back into lane, but it does look like Jinx will back off from that now that she does have a kill and assist under her belt. She is down a little bit in farm, but in the long run, those kills do matter, especially early game in this, because that is a massive amount of gold early game. Going ahead and picking up herself a Doran's ring and some pots to be able to get back in lane, grabbing some mana pots to be able to spam those rockets when she does get back into lanes for that long range poke. Which actually, I think with that rocket does mean she has longer range poke than Graves, even with this Q, can manage. And so we'll be able to harass that Graves from a distance. And they're doing a nice job of keeping that farm back. She doesn't have a whole lot of farm herself, only at 1 farm. But she is at least soaking up the experience, trying not to let My Name is Scott do too much harass to her. Roasted in the top lane, kind of dealing with a tight situation, is going to be able to grab a lot of this farm with her ranged attacks, actually up to 18 farm, just matching Mordekaiser's even in that situation. However, we're going to see how long she can last out in that. 3 kills starting off by blue team, doing an incredible, massive job starting this game off. Hames now coming in to escape, throwing down the snare. His shield is on, so he can't break it, but no! Xin Zhao is there for the damage. One more auto attack by LeBlanc should finish off escape in that mid lane. Cyan going down there. That is almost every member on purple team already being down a kill. There's only Mordekaiser in that top lane, and Xin Zhao's looking for blood. Leona actually follows My Name is Scott through his dash with the E, doing a good bit of damage. Jinx being there with the damage. Bulimic Will actually trying to come in and get that gank down. However, that Q just follows into a snare by Jinx, and so is not going to be there for that damage. The Q by Roasted going ahead and knocking down a good bit of health onto Mixav. Xin Zhao is there with that red buff. He does prep his Q and is doing the damage. However, the Ignite is onto Roasted. That might actually kill Roasted if the health is not enough. Survives by the barest of health in that lane with that health potion. Reasons why you start with that health potion. Mordekaiser complaining in all chat about how the hell that happened. And that is now a kill on every member of purple team. This situation being really, really bad for purple team. Gonna have to pull themselves huge to get back into this game, as they're already 2,000 gold down. Blue team doing an excellent job of keeping this game running. LeBlanc herself at 2 kills and 0 deaths. Nobody on blue team having died just yet. Purple team doing excellent, trying to keep themselves farmed up into this. Jinx at 30 farm, Graves at 25. Both of them actually having started off their double Dorans. Graves will be a little bit in the lead with those boots in that bottom lane. However, Jinx, of course, may be saving up her gold in the long run to buy that BF sword before Graves get around to it. Escape going ahead and throwing on the shield against Hamzi's damage. However, that shield not doing a whole lot against those minions. Hamzi does have her ultimate and is going to be trying to do her ultimate onto Cyan. However, does not really have a mana to go all in just yet. Roasted doing a good bit of damage with those Qs onto Mordekaiser in that top lane. There we go. Hamzi backing off a little bit from that fight in the mid lane. My Name is Scott taking a lot of harass from Best of Void Fizz down there in the bottom lane, down to about a quarter health here. Jinx doing a good job of keeping those W's flying against him. Sona trying to keep him healed up with anything that she can. She does have that magic resist for that Leona. There goes another W onto My Name is Scott, who's taking lots of damage from this Best Void Fizz, even with the double Dorians. Spell Thief's Edge by Sona. Leona has not backed yet, still only has that Dorian's shield to her name. However, that she's still doing an excellent job of keeping the damages in that bottom lane. Roast now going in hard onto Makeshaft. He has no way of gaining another shield. That is, oh, he does, there we go. Actually, he is able to throw down his ultimate, but I don't think that's going to be enough, as the Ignite does take down and kill him. When you're ranged and don't give him an opportunity to hit you and get his shield stacks up, it is going to go well for you. In that bottom lane, Vi went ahead and tried to gank again, but was unable to. Leona doing a good job of keeping Jinx alive in that situation. I wasn't actually able to watch that because I was in the top lane watching Kale get yet another kill. Now 6-0 for blue team. Hugely in the lead. Thank you, blue team, for so far proving me right. Hamzi going ahead picking up blue buff, and now that she has blue buff, she's going to be able to harass the Scion in the mid lane very, very hard. Magti. Madge? Magti or Magti? Magti. And who is name is Scott Aphrodam Scaffy? Mixaf pushover roasted. Hamzi. I'm not exactly sure. X-Mage T? Yeah, X-Mage T. Mage T. Are you Mage T? Instead of Mage T? I was thinking Mage like magician. Anyway, Rosa doing a lot of damage to Mixaft in the top lane there, as Blackbeard continues to farm, doing much better in the jungle than he was on the ADC. Glad that they switched up those roles. Hamzi about half health in that bottom lane. However, Leona there grabbing that Sona and just following up, not really caring about the ultimate, or not really caring about the damage by that tower, allowing Jinx to use her ultimate to grab that kill on Sona, and that flying rock at the last second doing a nice job of grabbing that kill. Magnesium. Okay, so Magti. Muck going ham. Muck going ham. Mag like magnesium. I like that. Roasted does get the ultimate from Mordekaiser down onto him. About very low health here. However, Mage Staff may be able to come in a second. Here's Vi coming in for that gank. Doesn't even need Mordekaiser to follow up, who actually does still get an assist with that ultimate, doing an excellent job. And that is the first kill on blue team by purple team. However, they are still 7 kills down. Hamzy now trying to follow up onto this Scion as Blackbeard is there. However, does get the flash, but Hamzy doing an amazing job of following through with her own little flash built in, and that Q will be able to finish off Scion and then just jump back out of tower's range. That is a 9th kill for blue team, very strongly in the lead. Kale in that top lane only being the first person to have gone down. Xin Zhao having already finished Feral Flare, trying to just continue to keep that farmed up. Best Boy Fizz getting a little bit of tower harass in that bottom lane. Pings going out from blue team, hoping that Vi will come down for that gank. Or no, that Xin Zhao will come in for the gank. There's a ping by purple team saying we gotta watch this. Vi will be coming down. Xin Zhao may be in a bad situation if he gets caught out. Sona is looking at maybe getting in here for an ultimate as well. There goes Vi trying to do what she can. Her Q does miss. However, Xin Zhao is there with the follow-up. Best Boy Fizz got the ultimate down, grabbing that with the super death rocket. Going to be doing a lot of damage now with her long-range Qs. The W follows through. She does flash through the tower. Now doing a lot of damage to Aquadam on the Sona, and is going to be able to pick up that kill. The speed bust is not going to help her. However, the snare is down onto My Name is Scott LeBlanc, using her clone to try to tank the tower. However, decided to go ahead and back off from that situation in case her clone died early and she was unable to escape that tower. My Name is Scott barely escaping, having dominated so much last game. It's really hard for him now with already 1 death to beat this Jinx, who has 4 kills already on the team. He does, however, have a lot of farm with that Vamp Scepter and double Dorans, but Jinx has not backed yet, and so we'll probably have a lot more gold as soon as she backs in at that 2,100 gold. We'll be able to get a BF sword and be very far ahead of this Graves. Looks like Escapa will be coming into that top lane, trying to make something happen on to Roasted. However, with that heal speed boost, we'll be able to back off from that and not be able to get down any kind of CC from that Scion. LeBlanc now pushing down, continuing to push in that mid lane. She does go ahead and throw a ward down there to see when Scion comes back from that top lane, knowing that he was just up there. That ranged auto attacking by Roasted going to be able to do good to keep that farm up. Matching Mordekaiser in that farm in that top lane, but with those 2 kills we'll be doing nicely. Leona there, actually onto that Leona. The E does land, that Solar Flare lands. However, even with that stun, there's the ultimate onto Bulimic Whale, but there's no team to follow up. LeBlanc and Xin Zhao were a little bit late, not actually following through on that. Roasted actually using his ultimate to be able to tank the tower while finishing off the kill on Mordekaiser in that top lane. A lot of purple team's members being able to back off in the mid lane there, as they were not expecting Leona to throw down the ultimate. But Leona is there with that tower kill, leaving Best Boy Fizz with that double buff in the bottom lane to continue to farm against this Graves, who is actually picking up farm against the Jinx. But I don't think he'll be able to keep it up for too long if Leona comes back down. Roasted now in the top lane, pushing in on this tower, doing a good chunk of damage. Blue team very strong in the lead. Pond Mills coming back very strong, 12-1, doing an amazing job. Ace Gafe, the Dance Bacon supports you. My Name is Scott, farming up the jungle, just trying to keep his farm to match this Jinx. Their tower has gone down at that lane, and so they are going to continue to try to be pushed against them. Hamzy with very low mana, but she does have blue buff here going in on Escape. The Bulimic Whale now jumping in onto Hamzy. However, she does have the ultimate there to do another dash and be able to escape from that. I really need to memorize LeBlanc's abilities, so that way when I'm mentioning them, I know exactly what to call them. Bulimic Whale, but going to be in a tight situation as Pushover does come in, using that Solar Flare to kind of keep her in his same position. Jinx there, Best Void Fizz going to be able to do the damage. Blackbeard herself actually picking up the kill. Best Void Fizz instantly turning around, throwing out that ultimate onto Scion, grabbing that kill as well. Flash by Sona being able to save her skin as the Solar Flare from Leona almost lands. 4 members of blue team now pushing out onto the bottom turret. They do not want to drag this game into 40 minutes. They're going to close out this game as soon as possible. Everyone leaping in onto the Xin Zhao, just destroying him before he can even respawn. Now pushing in onto this tower. They have a lot of team members down from purple team. And I'm missing something. Oh, yeah, never mind. Sona being instantly destroyed. Jinx grabbing up yet another tower. That is now 3 towers for blue team. 2 in the bottom lane, 1 in the mid lane, as top lane continues to duke it out. However, Kale is very strongly in the lead with those 3 kills, having already finished off that auto-attacking ability. She might be in trouble. The ultimate is down onto her, having to flash to the side, but with that heal, is not going to be able to keep herself alive. Mix-Up doing a nice job of coming back. With that Nashor's Tooth, Kale just doesn't do quite enough damage to deal with this Mordekaiser, as he is starting to come back in that top lane with that Hex Drinker heal. Hamzy backing off in that mid lane, not wanting to give up blue buff even with that low health. Limerick will continue to jungle and grab that red buff for herself. So what the fuck? Blackbeard continuing to jungle, does have bubble buff, and so he's going to be able to do a lot of damage to anyone that he comes across. Does look like purple team is continuing once again to push in that bottom lane, trying to go onto that tower. However, I guess they've decided to back off from that, not wanting to be ganked once again. My name is Scott. I think he was trying to say Hames, pro to your last game. My name is Scott was one of the best ADCs in the last game, but now Best Void Fizz going in onto My Name is Scott. So much damage. LeBlanc there as well, following up, grabbing that kill, giving Best Void Fizz the speed boost, and then leap in onto Sona. However, dominating is not going to. Leona ultimate was there as well to be able to keep Sona locked in place as Jinx grabbed that kill. LeBlanc now jumping in onto Sion. Sion trying to do what damage he can, but not having to back off. His Best Void Fizz Jinx is there, going to do a lot of damage with those auto attacks. The snares is down. Doesn't even need to switch to rockets as LeBlanc comes in to finish off that kill, using her ultimate to leap over the wall and go back to pushing in the mid lane. They have given top lane to that Mordekaiser to farm slowly. However, blue team is pushing hard down mid lane and should be able to get this tower without too much contesting. Leona just EQing in onto them. My Name is Scott, who's now down to half health here. He might not be able to last very long. The kill is there with that ultimate, and those auto attacks are going to finish Graves off. However, that tower might be able to kill off Akrodon, picking up the kill from that, with that ultimate being able to keep Kale underneath the tower long enough that the tower is able to kill it. However, Mordecai is in that top lane, going to grab that turret in response to the mid lane turret going down. So that is turret for turret, first turret kill by purple team, picking off that top turret. Yeah, Kale has 100% of the deaths on blue team. But that's okay because Kale has 4 of the kills. Mordekaiser just pushing in onto this tower. Now he might be in a little bit of trouble. Blackbeard doing a chunk of damage onto Mixall. He does get his shield up, throws down his ultimate, so Blackbeard will be in a bit of trouble if he can't get the heals down. The ultimate from Leona there trying to stop this Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser does back off from this. The speed boost is there by pushover, continuing to push in onto this. LeBlanc is there. The snare is down. The shield is actually not going to be able to last very long as Leona gets a nice stun, keeping Mordekaiser from doing much of anything. Ward is there by Vi, going to be able to keep purple team's vision on blue team as they kind of come in here. Vi might try to go. No, Vi. Blue McWhale not wanting to have too much to do with this. LeBlanc, who is pretty fed now, 8-0. But the best way to beat Mordekaiser with some really strong CC, because he's able to do damage or get shield based upon his damage with his abilities. So if he can't use any of his abilities, then he's not going to be able to get much shield, and that's going to drop really fast. Looks like blue team will be going for this dragon in the bottom lane. Pushover going ahead and tanking that for the team as they push in. That is first dragon down for either team. Blue team picking that up for themselves. Very strong in the lead, 10,000 gold, only at 18 minutes. However, that is not game at the moment. Blue team now waiting in this bush to see if purple team will come by. It does look like some members of purple team could be There they go, crossing by that ward, by their tower, but they know better than to be walking through the jungle in this kind of a situation. My name is Singe, getting a little bit slowed by that Leona, but the solar flare did not land. However, Xin Zhao is there with the dash, going to be able to do nice amounts of damage to the, Sona and finish her off as blue team continues to push down this mid lane, dominating everything that they come across. 21-3 in kills. Sona being just a little bit too squishy. Now Cyan's going to get in a bit of trouble as the entire blue team collapses in on him. Leona doing an excellent job of tanking that tower, being the just massive wall of nope that she can be for her team. My name is Scott, now trying to do what damage she can to Best Void Fizz. However, the lifesteal on Fizz is just incredible. She does have a Bort on herself, so her attack speed is going to be ridiculous as already. There she is, going godlike as LeBlanc is following up, actually finishing off Grace before the Jinx ultimate can get there. Don't give any extra kills. No, Pushover actually died! Another member of blue team died! That's it, purple team's going to win just because of that. 24 kills to 4 kills. Blue team extremely strong in the lead. 19 minutes, not even 20 minutes, already grabs themselves an inhibitor. Mordekaiser in the top lane trying to push down. However, he can die in a moment's notice if blue team goes back. But however, they don't, grabbing themselves another kill on Sion, deciding, hey, while Mordekaiser's pushing, we have LeBlanc back there. Let's go ahead and continue to push this. We've got Jinx, we've got Xin Zhao. We can go ahead and get ourselves one turret. Jinx trying to escape. However, the ultimate by Vi is down. Bulimic Whale trying to do what he can to keep this Jinx from escaping, but they might be able to do that anyway. Hamzy in a bit of trouble now, having to back off. Make sure actually getting ulted by Leona. Beautiful ult. Solar Flare followed by the stun combination onto him. 1 Q, however, by that Mordekaiser is going to finish off LeBlanc. Now he's going to be in a tight situation. The Ignite wears off, but Pushover is there. Might be able to have the speed boost. There it is, followed by the EQ combo. And that's going to finish off Makeshaft, grabbing Leona a kill for herself. But that is also a kill on LeBlanc. Now 9-1. But the 4 votes for surrender by purple team. That is a win by Pond Mills, evening it up 1-1. Game is game. Beautiful, beautiful game. That was almost a perfect game except for the kills, deaths in that top lane. Amazing, amazing game. Beautiful to watch. Magnesium tea. X-Mag tea. Weird. But MVPs really fast before we get into this third and final game. Amazing, amazing plays by LeBlanc in that mid lane against Sion. It's really hard to give an MVP to blue team due to the fact that they worked so well as a team. They actually got that initial gank off, 2 kills off of that first invade. However, MVP for purple team first off goes to Mordekaiser for pushing and pushing hard. He died some, but didn't die as much as most of his team members. He actually had a little more deaths than the Vi and Graves. However, he got 2 turrets, which is more than most of his team can say, which is to say something that even if you are dying, you can help your team out by getting that global gold of pushing those towers. So an amazing job by Mordekaiser for just continuing as hard as possible to push that top lane and make some events happen. For blue team, I do think that I'm going to throw it out to that beautiful, beautiful LeBlanc play, being able to get in and out of situations, those dives under the turret followed by dashing out to one of her clone situation or her backline situation. Beautiful, beautiful job. It's always amazing to watch amazing LeBlancs.